I apologize. It's a little dark. Maybe that'll help. I just don't want to be in bright lights, even in here. It's 1:16 p.m. I've already been out of the house and back. I'll have to go out later. I wanted to thank those of you who left me nice comments yesterday regarding this really bad news of my partner's lifetime friend just finding out that he has pretty much 2 weeks to live, a week to live, who knows. I feel like I need to just talk about it a little, and I just want to say, like, trigger warning, because some of this stuff is scary, and it's end of life kind of stuff, and it's really, really brutal. But I just need to say something, So Renee went over there yesterday, and he was over there for a few hours. He had called me in the middle, towards the beginning, to say that he was just running out to get Paul a carton of cigarettes, and Renee was crying, which is, expected. I mean, what are we supposed to do, Well, so here's the thing about this guy Paul, is that he has lived his life as a perpetually cranky old man, and he has pushed everybody away. He is not even actually technically divorced, but he has been like so obsessed with the idea of selling his house so that his wife that he is separated from would not get a hold of that money or take any of his stuff. And I remember, I met Paul, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, to be really honest. I want to say it was the year before. And we started going over there quite a bit, and it was apparent, well, Renee hadn't heard from Paul in years. He had moved away or something, and, one day he just got a call, and Paul's back, living nearby. And, he started to go over there, and Paul was just very surprisingly, like, he needed help with a lot of things. This was back, what I'm thinking is about 2 years ago. So I know Renee for a while was going with him. He would come up with every excuse in the book for why he needed someone to ride along with him. But he had to take a monthly trip to Boston for some prescription that he couldn't get taken care of here. And Renee would go with him, but eventually he stopped going because Renee said that Paul drove like a freaking maniac the whole time, every time. He drove a truck, and he would just drive like 100 miles an hour, and Renee would be telling him, slow down, dude, and that's a lot for Renee to actually get nervous. Oh God. as I'm looking back, I'm just seeing how obvious it should have been. Oh, God. So anyway, they started to kind of bicker, and that's been the nature of their relationship, I guess. You know, for all these years, is they really just, Paul has a problem keeping relationships. You know, he kind of has always displayed, like, borderline personality traits, you know, where he gets very intense with you, and then suddenly you're like the bad person, you know, and that's that type of attachment style is something that I know a lot of people that have borderline personality disorder, you know, describe. But he just grew so needy with Renee that Renee got really frustrated with him. And they ended up, unfortunately, I mean, I had gone over there a few times, hung out, and something always struck me as wrong. But, you know, with the amount of things that I've seen in the last, say, 5 years, I'm almost to the point that I don't even listen to that voice in my, or not voice, but to that part of me, that intuitive part of me that knows when something is off. Because, you know, so many times I have tried to voice concern over something, and it's turned out that I've been wrong, or that I have been, you know, me voicing concern about something has led to major fights and problems, and I feel like I get put in positions like this a lot, though. Anyway, but yeah, so I guess the whole visit was just Paul it's spread into his brain, and so he's pretty much completely delusional, and he's saying things that don't make sense. He's not telling things in order that makes any sense chronologically. And I don't know, I guess it's really shaking me because I'm realizing that there have been some people, a person that I talked to before that talked the same way and had, or has, or, you know, a similar ailment. And holy crap, you guys, I just gotta say, go to your doctors, like, get your physicals. And please encourage those you love to keep up with their health. Because I don't know how, but somehow this man, Paul, he pushed everybody out of his life to the point that no one was around to notice that something was really wrong. And I could have told you back then. And I did say to Renee, you know, and to the point that I was being kind of annoying to him about it. You know, I was saying, you know, he's an odd cookie, Paul. He definitely is a very quirky guy. And it's clear that he's just that way, you know. You can tell a person that's who they are, you know. But there was an edge on him. And a little bit of a, like, confusion factor. Something didn't seem right, even with his mental faculties when he would be talking to us. And he would call us over there a lot of times for, to help him move stuff. Because, you know, with the end goal being to sell stuff or sell the house, or, but looking back now, I realized that all of that moving shit around that we were doing, he didn't even know what he was doing. Because it turns out that he is still married and that he cannot sell the house until, I mean, he would have to go through the entire process of divorce and have the house be, you know, he would have to, he didn't know what he was talking about. And I mean, I knew it. I remember one day going over there and I was so irritated because we're moving this freaking dresser up and down a set of stairs, and was like yelling at us and stuff to be careful with it and da 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 da, and like his temper was like, he would snap at nothing. Like if he sensed the slightest bit of like us getting frustrated or anything, he would just be like, you know what, fine, just, but then he was going into like this whole guilt tripping thing, and it was not a good scene. And looking back, I know now that it wasn't him just being mean, it was that he had cancer. He had cancer in his brain, and he can't even tell, or he can't answer the question, when did you find this out? How long have you known? Renee looked up at my calendar, and he just, like, his face froze in horror for a second. And I said, baby, what? And he's like, you have a mark on April 4th, because there was something I was marking on April 4th. And he said, Paul wrote, fuck me, on April 4th. And then I started thinking about it, and I said, babe, if Paul, because, you know, he was saying that's the day that he found out, if Paul has been in the hospital for the last 2 or 3 weeks, as he said, how did he just find out? Well, it turns out that he'd been in the hospital and they were doing all kinds of tests. They thought it was something less serious. And then finally they told him, bad news, man. It's cancer and it's metastasized. It's everywhere. Liver, brain. I don't know. I don't know what kind of cancer it is. But, you know, and I know that cancers can move really rapidly, but I know he had it then. Because he even used to, I remember Renee telling me, no, I was over there. We were both over there. And Paul was talking about how he was waking up puking. And I remember that because I've had that problem before. But mine, you know, is, I know why. It's, you know, my bowel disease or whatever that I have. And he just didn't, I was asking him, I was like, but do you know why? Because that's really not a normal thing. Like, that's kind of sounds like a bad sign. And, you know, but he had just kind of come to accept it as, like, normal. Just puking randomly. And he was sleeping so much. And he was so angry and irritable all the time. And he was really starting to go off on really delusional sounding tirades, and I don't know. I guess last night the visit over there was just nothing but him yelling and screaming at Renee angrily, ordering him around. Everything was, well, who fucking cares? I'm dying. I'm dying this. I'm dying that. And it's unclear. I mean, there's no way to even know if he really has a shot. Like, he could have a chance. I don't know. That's what's really bothering me. I was gonna go with Renee today, but Renee he did something really mature and sweet and loving, and he just decided for me. He said, baby, I know you would go with me. I know you love me that much, and I thank you for that. But I think I'm gonna bring you home, because I don't think you deserve to have to go over there. 'Cause you're right, it could be really bad. You know? I mean, part of me is like, what if he's dead? I don't know. He chased Renee out last night. He told him, get the F out. I guess one other family member, as of last night, had been alerted, and hopefully she'll tell. Hopefully she's gonna tell people. Or other people. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's the right thing. Here's a man who may have a shot, a chance. He might. But he has no family. He has, like, one friend, Renee, who is, you know, cannot possibly shoulder all of this responsibility. I don't know. What do you do? Do you intervene? What about if somebody says, listen, I don't want you to intervene. I want to die. I want to sit here and eat 3 boxes of fucking donuts, which that Renee said he saw 3 Dunkin' Donuts, like the dozen boxes, but they weren't open. Paul's diabetic. His pancreas doesn't work, apparently, now. His feet are, like, swollen, like, I don't know if anybody's familiar with, like, gout flare-ups, but it sounds that way, like, but, you know, if his pancreas isn't working anymore, he's diabetic, I don't know. I don't think. I mean, God can do a lot of miracles, I know, and I've asked a lot of people to pray, and I've been praying so hard. But somebody that doesn't want to live and is this bad off, I just pray that God just take the reins, shed some light on it so that this guy is not alone in his house, dying, confused. That's something that I said to Renee last night. I was thinking, is it worse to die in pain? Or is it worse to die confused and alone? I think that Renee is learning a lot of lessons all at once about, you know, because he's identified with the way that Paul is, with people. He's very private. He's very tell it like it is. He's very, I mean, he has burned so many bridges in his life that now, on his deathbed, there's nobody. And I think Renee is realizing right now that how scary that is. And he has another friend, well, we both are friends with her, who was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. I want to say it was 3 years ago, possibly 4. She is kicking. Like, she's doing amazingly well. She's gone through chemo a few times. Right now she's giving Rick Simpson oil a try. It's working wonders on her levels and everything. Like, all of her blood work and everything is coming back. Like, it's changing. Like, everything is changing for the better. She has to take steroids, but which usually when she takes a round of the steroids, she gets this horrible blotchy, like almost cactus-y looking rash all over her face. It looks so painful. This round, since she's doing the Rick Simpson oil, she didn't get the rash at all. Her skin is glowing. She's smiling. She's so happy. I mean, she's saying, we have plans to go with her and a couple of people to a local beach and, just have a day of fun with her. But at this point, when she was first diagnosed, it was like, how is she gonna survive that? Stage 4 colon cancer? Like, but her spirit couldn't die. She is so vibrant and full of fight and life, and like, even on her worst days, when she was going through chemo, when she was collapsing in CVS, just like having horrible, even in her worst experiences with this cancer, she has prevailed. She has seriously, I think even if, in the end, even if this horrible disease, even if her body is not able to fight it off and it takes her eventually, which I hope and pray that will not happen. It's hard to imagine that happening. But even if that does happen, she will leave behind so many people who love her so dearly. I have grown to love her, and I, met her through Renee. And she has an enormous support network, and so many people have been inspired by her fighting spirit. But if you live your life the way that Paul did, and you're mean to people, and you put material possessions as your number one, all you care about is your stuff, and you push everybody out of your life, when that day comes and you need somebody, you need them, you can't do it alone. Are you gonna have like one person like Renee that's just kind of stuck around through time, and everybody else you've sworn off, and then that one person that's left in your life, you dump all of it onto them, and they have to try to shoulder the weight of the world alone. One huge difference is that if Maria, our friend that's doing the Rick Simpson oil with the great attitude, if she passes, everybody will be so sad and heartbroken, but there are so many people that know her and that have met through her that we will be able to comfort each other if she leaves. Paul is just gonna leave behind a couple of people who are just gonna be so confused and just sad day. If anybody is still watching, please pray for Paul, for clarity of mind. He has moments of clarity, but they're quickly going. And he has no plans set up. Nothing is set up. He doesn't even know how to take his medications. And he left the hospital when he was supposed to start chemo, which I believe that's a pretty clear indication that he wants to die. I don't even know what else to say. And I know, like, I take everything so hard. I know. Even things like people that I don't even know that well passing away. It's just, I know, but I can't help it. I really can't. I don't know why I feel so much pain about this, but it's just so freaking... I pulled a tarot card last night, and it was the Justice card, but it was reversed, and you know, that means unfair. Yeah, that's what I felt last night. Very fitting. I hate using that word, but